Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NotBland Show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland. Great show today. I never thought in a million years that I'd be talking to Del Worsham on my show. How far we have come, ladies and gentlemen. How far we have come. I'm looking forward to talking with him, and he's had a busy end of the season and got himself 3 Ironmans to go with it. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about the season, about his time spent with the IHRA this year, and what's in the future for Dell. Thank everybody for tuning in who are in here right now. Make sure you guys are liking and sharing the show. Let's get this thing out here. Let's try to get some more subscribers as well. We want to try to get some more sponsors here in 2026. Everybody knows who we deal with. Appreciate y'all. But most importantly, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It is your last chance, ladies and gentlemen. Very last chance to get involved with this bracket game. Win yourself some free prizes. Me, it hasn't been good. It has not been good at all. As a matter of fact, it's been 3 matches and a whole lot of accelerant away from being a dumpster fire. We're very close to being a dumpster fire. I might just end it, and it may just be an inferno after we're done. But there has been a lot of you that have had success. If you have not gotten yourself involved in this game, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But if you're interested, this is how you can do so. And when we come back, we'll have Del Worsham.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
We'll have the league ticker, the little league, sign in there where you can come in and join the league on the ticker here in a bit. Del, how's it going, man?
Doing well, man. Thank you. Just got home from North Carolina.
Man, you have been busy this year. You given some folks some seat time earlier in the season. You go and you race 5 of the races in the IHRA, and then you show up to Vegas and put the thing in the show, not barely, but the number 12 spot. Like, just come out in 21 cars and just like, yeah, I'm just going to get in here real quick. That's pretty impressive, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, no, it was fun. Wasn't really sure if I was going to do, the Las Vegas and Pomona race at the end of the year with NHRA, and with the final race of the season in North Carolina for the IHRA that was in between the two, sandwiched between the 2 NHRA events. I just wasn't sure if we could pull it off. And with some help from some sponsors and some friends and the crew being behind me, my family, we were able to do Las Vegas race, and now here we are ready to go to Pomona.
Yeah, man, I was really excited to see you on the list, and man, last 2 big races of the season. Competition is high. The emotions are high because championships are on the line. Of course, people are trying to place as well, and you get to come in and play a little bit of a spoiler. And that 398 that you qualified with was no joke.
No, I appreciate it. No, it was a decent run. I never really got a full, clean 1,000-foot pass in the whole weekend there in Las Vegas. One thing or another happened the entire way, so I'm pretty sure we can improve on that and do better than that. But it definitely was a good run, and it was a clean run, and parts damage was at a minimum. Probably gonna take a little bit more. We're probably gonna need a little more than that this weekend in Pomona to qualify. It looks like the weather is gonna be really cool. We have 21 cars coming in, and I'm thinking 395 or better is what it's gonna take to give yourself a decent shot at making this field.
Yeah, the weather's going to be good, and when the weather's good, the track is exceptional. And you either got to hit it, or if you miss it, you're likely going to be behind the 8 ball all weekend long. Great bit of cars come out to the IHRA. You get 3 of those Ironmen out of 5. Tell us a little bit about your experience with the IHRA and its resurgence, and just the gathering of the cars that did come out and were able to make it because their schedules were able to fit.
Yeah, sure. Well, when this season all took off, I wasn't even sure if I was even going to attend a drag race this year. And as we got started, I kind of thought, well, maybe I want to go to Gainesville and go to that race and see how that works out. But I really didn't want to drive. I really hadn't driven much in the last 5 years. So I got a hold of
Yeah.
Bobby Bodie and we went to Bradenton. We went there and qualified with Bobby there and ran a 388, which was a great run. Went to Gainesville and ran a low 390 there and qualified, won a couple rounds here and there. And we did a few races together, but we weren't winning, but we were there making decent runs. And we kind of took some more time off after that. And then Julie Naddis came to me and she wanted to get her funny car license. And we started licensing her at Gainesville. And she actually ran a 390, I think like 394 getting her license, which was a great run. And we tried to finish it up at Phoenix and didn't quite get it done. So we came back, I think it was in June, and went to could have been April. But either way, we went to Indianapolis and she made her final runs and ran a 396 and completed her licensing passes and wanted to do a race. So we took her to Bristol and Norwalk were the two we did with her. And she qualified pretty well and won herself around over there, which was really cool. And then we did Indy with her and we qualified, just didn't really win anything there. But in the middle of all that, I've been hearing rumblings about the IHRA coming back and doing some racing again. And as I kept hearing about that, and I kept hearing about what their plans were and their payout and their races and their format, I just started thinking this is something I could get involved in. This is something I could handle with the crew I have right now. We're not a real big team that have 9 guys. I have 3 or 4 guys that come to every race with me, and we fly a couple more guys in. And it just looked like something we could do from our shop in Auburn, Indiana. And we went to the first race in Columbus, Ohio, not really knowing what to expect. I was in a brand new car that hadn't been tested. And we showed up there and got thing qualified, and we didn't qualify very good the first race. I think we qualified about 4th or 5th, but we did end up in the final round and made some decent runs and lost the very first race in the final round on a hole shot, which is we both ran 416s. I had a cylinder out. I was racing McIntyre, and they're a good family, and their car runs really well, and they're really excited. But after getting a little taste of that and losing that way, I was not happy with that. So I decided from that point forward, I was going to chase this IHRA thing and run all their races. The owner, Daryl, did everything he said he's going to do. He hired all the people he said he was going to hire. He put on the kind of race that I was told was going to happen, and it was enjoyable. It was a fun experience. We were able to win 3 of the 5 races, went to all 5 final rounds, and it was everything I thought it would be, and even a little bit more.
Yeah, everybody seems to have the same vibe, and that's really good. I've always said when this whole thing was being talked about and it was rumor and it finally hit, that this is great for drag racing. It gives guys like Dan Hicks and others a place to be able to race and build their program a little bit. And if they want to come and dabble in NHRA competition, they can do that. And they'll be we have guys that show up and are well prepared now, but just imagine how more prepared they will be being able to get more laps under their belt without having to have, 4 qualifying sessions. That 2 qualifying sessions helps them out a little bit. It makes it tough, but it helps them out a little bit with money and parts attrition.
It does. And the first thing I noticed, because the payouts are really well, for 2 qualifying runs, qualifying, you get $15,000, which is quite a bit of money. And the winner, and the first round, second round, runner up money, it's all adjusted accordingly to where there's some pretty decent money there. But people weren't going out and buying cars and buying houses. They're putting money back into their race teams. So every time we go to race, we come back, I noticed that these cars that didn't quite have maybe the most up-to-date parts had more parts, and they were a little more up-to-date. And little by little, these parts have been increased, and these teams have put their money back into their programs. And at the last race we were at in North Carolina, there were 8 cars there that all basically have the same car I had, or very similar cars. So I think everybody's out there trying to improve their programs, make their cars faster, get them up to speed, so they can do really any kind of racing they want to do at that point.
Yeah, I'm loving every bit of it. Because it's not too many places to race a nitro car. You really don't have too many places.
The other thing I kind of noticed right away that happened in the first 4 races we attended, every single round of racing we were in, the car next to me went to the finish line. They weren't smoking the tires against me, and they weren't making mistakes, and keep me extremely honest and having to make good runs. The last race we went to, I guess it all kind of turned around, and fortunes kind of went our way, and a couple of those rounds maybe we could have been picked off, but up and for the first 4 races, every round of competition, the car next to me had gone to the final. You had gone to the finish line and put up a race, and a couple of
Yeah.
those, we barely won just by thousandths of a second. So good competition, good racing. Everybody's having a pretty good time, but everybody wants to win. I can, and as we get deeper into this, and like I said, you win $50,000 if you win this race. These guys are wanting to win, and they're getting closer and closer, and they can taste it and they can smell it, and I can feel it. So gonna have to improve my
Yeah.
program for next season for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. And
Thank you.
Dave Wazlowski, the historian of the IHRA and for Speed Sport, he says you're the first driver to compete in 5 straight IHRA Funny Car Finals since Mark Oswald in 1987.
Okay, he did 5. Well, I think I went to 4 in 1992. So
Yeah,
made it 5 this year, which is cool. Mark Oswald, great competitor, first guy ever raced in the final round at NHRA. Great friend of mine, and even being mentioned with him and anything is pretty cool. So yeah, that's great.
it is. It is. Drag Race Mayhem says, "How is it racing 8th mile with a big show car? Do you have to change much versus the 1,000 feet?"
At this point, we haven't changed anything. We pretty much run the same combination to the 8th mile. But I would say as time goes on, if there's more of these races, I'll probably race it a little bit harder at 8th mile, knowing it doesn't have to go that last 340 feet. We can get to the
Yeah,
8th mile, and probably allow us to maybe make some changes. With only 2 qualifying runs, you don't have a whole lot of chances to really mess around or test or make a mistake. And then 12 cars show up and only 8 qualify, and there's 2 qualifying runs, and one of them is going to be at night, and it's going to be cold, and it's going to be hard to get down the track. So the runs are really important over there. Every run means a lot, and you really have to take all the data from every run in that track and make sure. But I think with time, with time, you'd probably run a little bit different. I mean, I remember probably 20 or 25 years ago when we were going pretty fast in quarter mile, and the whole thing got brought up about going to 1,000 foot, and how fast can we go in 1,000 feet? And Don Gardis made a comment that at the time I thought was completely ridiculous, and I totally understand it now. And he said, if you shorten the track to 8th mile, drag races will go 300 miles an hour at the 8th mile. And in 2000 or 2001, when he said that, I just thought he was just crazy. He was just a crazy old man. But he knew, and he was right. And we see 300 miles an hour today in the 8th mile. And he's been around the sport for so long, and he understands what's going on. That, like I said, 25 years ago, he knew that a drag car could go 300 the 8th mile, and he was right.
yeah. Because when they said they were going to 1,000 feet, I'm gonna admit I was a little upset. I was like, "Come on, really? Now we're gonna have to? They're gonna slow them down? Like, what's going on here?" But they figured it out in no time.
Well, and then another time years ago when we had the whole debate going on about 1,000 foot versus quarter mile versus 8th mile, and what to do next, and all I was hearing was talk about quarter mile, but the tracks weren't getting any longer, and the cars were going faster, and they were heavier. So I had Bobby Bennett at Competition Plus do a poll for me, and it's probably 10 years ago maybe, and I was sitting there, I said,
Yeah,
Bobby, do me a favor, let's do a poll, and let's see if the fans would rather see an all out, no holes barred 8th mile race, or a punk down quarter mile race where you only go 315 at the quarter mile, or there's no performance rules, and you can run the 8th mile as fast as you can. And at first it
right.
started off very much quarter mile, but as time went on, it ended up being about 50-50. And I think people realized that a 300 mile an hour 8th mile run might be as exciting as a 320 mile an hour quarter mile run.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the 8th mile racing that was displayed in the IHRA. I think it was very competitive. It really it really evens the playing field for those who may not have that back end power, and it really keeps you honest. Whether it's your tune up and you getting off the starting line means everything. And I think one thing that was impressive with the IHRA in its beginning here is that you paid more attention to the racing to the finish line, and you weren't so. I think we become overly concerned about ET and mile an hour, and really, at the end of the day, drag racing is about who can get to the finish line first. And I think that in the IHRA was something that was kind of to the forefront during these first 5 races of the IHRA, and I thought it was refreshing.
Yeah, no, I agree, and plus, it's kind of like, even I don't know if you golf or not, but nobody wants to golf the same course
Yeah,
every day. So if you change it up a
no,
little bit and do 8th mile here, 1,000 foot here, and I wouldn't even be opposed to even doing a quarter mile at times if the track was safe and we could adjust for it. But I think it'd be exciting. I think it'd be something that could be looked at, and the fans seem to like it. Every race I saw an increase in in spectators up to the point where in North Carolina at Galot there was a lot of fans there. I mean it was starting to fill up, so it was nice to see.
Yeah, that was really nice to see. Dave W had mentioned something. I think he showed you when he was there this past weekend about your history. You have like 5 wins in funny car, so you're tied with Richard Thorpe and Don Schumacher for 8th on the class win list. You have 6 total, including that top fuel run at Norwalk, the Norwalk win there. Just the list goes on, man. Like you just keep stacking up history left and right. It's really awesome to see, and to me, like coming from being an 80s baby, I think sometimes with all the other names, and those great names are great, Del Worsham gets lost in the sauce, but you've put some numbers up and have some really big time history within the sport of drag racing.
I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been around. I've been driving for over 35 years. I have a lot of driving experience. I've been racing my entire life. With my dad and working with
Yeah,
cars. Going back to our sportsman, our alcohol funny car that raced at Orange County Raceways on weekends to where we are today, or me driving. So we did a lot. I would say probably one of my most memorable moments was winning my first race in 1991. And just thinking that at 21 years old and 2 months, I'm a national event winner. That kind of took the pressure off my entire career, because if nothing else, I'd pulled that off. And I guess if
yeah,
you went your whole career and didn't do that, you could live with it. But it was something that was definitely special to me. Yeah, no, it's been a long career. I'm not ready to give it up 100% yet. This IHRA thing has definitely revived me. It's brought back a
yeah,
competitive spirit as far as driving goes. Looking forward to racing this weekend at Pomona with NHRA. So yeah, no, I
yeah.
feel good about where I am right now.
Yeah, look, Dell has 31 NHRA event wins. He's 9th on the all-time list. 39 total wins, because you have to count the wins there in top fuel. And he's 34th on the all-time list and the top fuel list there with 8 wins. Pretty impressive. And you got 2 championships. That's nuts. And people think that's easy, but as I've combed through history, even with the wins, like you think of names and you're like, because you remember them for their personality, they had that moment in time that was big, and you realize that they didn't win as many races as you thought, and you thought they had more championships, and they didn't have more championships than you thought. But it really proves that when you get one, you should be extremely happy and elated to have one, because some people have none. That's how hard this is.
It's really hard, and you got to remember, I came through the John Force era where he absolutely
Yes.
dominated. So he didn't leave a whole lot of crumbs out there for the rest of us. And he wasn't he
No.
wasn't good with first, and he wasn't good with first and second. He brought out 3 cars, and he had to have first, second, and third, and it was extremely difficult. It was extremely difficult to get by that team. They were funded better than you. They had experience. They had people. They had sponsors. They had John Force. They had the NHRA behind them. I mean, it was really, really hard to get your licks in on them. So when we did, we celebrated heavily, and we knew that we had definitely accomplished something. John Force is an amazing racer, no matter what form of motorsport. In all forms of motorsports, his level of competitiveness and what he did for drag racing can never be matched. So to get anything out of those years was tough, and those were kind of my prime years with Checker, Strucks, and Cragen, and when I was sponsored the best at that time with my personal car. And we were able to get some licks in here and there, and finish second and finish third a few times, and put up some good races.
Yeah, most definitely. Looking ahead to next year in 2026, they're actually going to have a championship series, and I believe it's like, is it 12 races, 10 races? Do you think that's a pretty good sweet spot for, guys and girls to travel and it kind of not be overbearing?
I think it is. I think 10 or 12 races is something you can manage with maybe half the amount of crew full time, and still have the car prepared properly, and do a good job. If we get up to more than like 10 or 12 races, it's going to take these huge teams like what I came from. Um, and Daryl over there with his Darana group, they don't do anything halfway. They do everything 100%. Every
No.
track he's taken over, man, he has gone in there and just really done a nice job and made it look professional and made it professional and dressed it up and he's done his part. So I think now if he can provide us with 10 good races with this with the streaming package he has, we should be able to go out there and hopefully get some sponsors and turn this into something.
Yeah, I agree. And, it kind of takes you back to the old Diamond P days for me when the ladies at the far end with the commentating between, TJ and the guys up there, they just allow you guys to be natural and show raw emotion. I think that's something that's missing, within drag racing is that raw emotion that endeared fans to, people like yourself, when years ago. I think that whole element is kind of missing. It's too, we got to it's all right to be corporate, but let's kind of keep that still fun element and allow these guys to be who they really are.
When I first started driving, I remember I was definitely afraid of a camera, and I just didn't want anything to do with interviews, and I figured out a way around it, and I would let my car roll as far as I could. I mean, I could get so far away from the TV cameras they couldn't catch me. And I remember at Brainerd in 1991, they got their first golf cart, and they said, "We've got you now." And Steve Evans and them, they were so funny back then. And basically, they wanted you right out of the car. They wanted that raw emotion. When I first got out of the car, they wanted to see what I had to say. There was no cooling off period. There was no standing here to see what's going to happen next. You got out of the car, and Steve Evans said a few words and shoved the microphone in your face, and he would help carry the interview along for you. He was so good at his job, and he did such a good job at it. And he kind of understood your strengths and weaknesses and would help you out. But he was really good at getting the raw emotion out of the drivers right out of the car. And I think you're right. I think that's something that gets missed sometimes. I think when Matt Hagan first jumps out or any of these drivers first jump out, you need to get a microphone in their face because they have something to say, and you might not always want to hear it, but at least it's their views and their opinions. And let's hear what they have to say. I mean, that was our greatest John Force moments, were just those candid moments when they just jammed the microphone in his face and he said what he had to say.
Yeah, he sure did. He had some moments for sure. Some real good moments. I'm thinking about how you have helped some drivers get their license and be able to get some seat time. I find that's awesome, to kind of give back. I see Ron Capps, choosing a driver that didn't necessarily have money bringing to the table, but, has the talent and ability to carry that out. It has to make you feel good to be able to kind of give back a little bit to the young and upcoming drivers and giving them an opportunity to, get some laps and hopefully those laps will help them here in the future to secure a long-term ride.
I agree. Pretty much for the last, 10 or 15 years, I've licensed quite a few drivers, whether it's been in Funny Car or Top Fuel. And there's been a lot of them have had success. Some of them not so much. But this year we licensed Julie Naddis, and we also are in the process of licensing Ryan Horan right now. And they're both going to be great drivers. They're both very young, very talented, extremely hungry, and want to do this and make careers out of this is what it appears to me. So it's fun to do that. Bobby Bodie, we can tell already, he's already a star, and he's going to win a lot of races in his career. And you get him in the right situation, the right car, he'll probably be a world champion one day. He started doing this at a very young age. He actually drove a junior dragster for me years ago. We were going to the Western Conference Finals one year, and I think one of my daughters wanted to go to dance instead of to the finals. And I called Bobby. I'm like, Bobby, and he's maybe 14 years old. And I'm like, you want to drive my junior dragster? And him and his dad flew right out to Utah and drove it for us. That was my first experience with Bobby and knowing how good of a driver he was. And putting him in the car this year, he really showed me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is really awesome. It's so cool to see the young guys come up and kind of hear their stories a little bit. I think Ty was asking, what did you think of the track in Dunn, North Carolina there, and what they have done to it?
It was amazing. I've tested there a couple times over the last 10 years. So I kind of had an idea, about that track and what the potential that track had. But when Daryl went in there with his Darana group and what they did to it, was just amazing. When we rolled up for the Friday night qualifying run, the amount of lighting, and there's a Ferris wheel, and it was just so bright, and it made you someplace I mean, it was a place that you felt proud. You're like, man, this guy really cares about his track, and the people here really care about their track, and they wanted it to be the best it could be, and it was. And when we rolled up for the final round Saturday night, it was the same thing. It was almost like it was like a circus. It was just lit. It was lit up so bright, and there were fans everywhere, and there was electricity in the air, and it was a fun race. And I was getting outrun all day by Bobby Bodie and getting to race him in the final round. I wasn't sure how that was going to turn out, but I knew that we were going to do our best to get down the track. And if he fumbled at all, we were going to be there to take advantage of it. And he stumbled, and there we were.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Man, it was a great event. And the Pits podcast, yes, that was fire. And I remember those days very vividly. Those are some of my fondest moments as a young kid growing up, being introduced to drag racing by my uncle. I think I wore that drag racing '89 tape out.
That was a great year of drag racing.
It was. Thanks for tuning in. And Josh, I saw you as well. Thank you for tuning in to the show also. Let's see. It says Dell is around the same age as me, Wendy, and Worsham. I can't see that. Not very good with my eyes right here, guys. I'm getting old. The underdogs to Bernstein and Perdome. Yeah, those were that was the days. But you know what? Those underdogs really did come up and bite those big boys a lot. That's what was so fun. That's what's so fun about drag racing as it is. Rendell Racing says, how's the funding comparing to NHRA and IHRA when running to 1,000 foot? Does it cost the same or is it cheaper?
Well, it's only cheaper. It's only less expensive or cheaper because you make less runs. The maintenance really on a nitro car, it doesn't really change because you don't want to compromise safety or anything like that. But you make less runs for more money, and there are less days. And the travel hasn't been nearly as far because the races they've all been kind of like centrally or Midwest kind of located at this point. So the travel's been pretty good. But a nitro car is a nitro car, and you don't get a whole lot of runs on the crankshafts. You don't get a whole lot of runs on the rods or the pistons or the tires. Those things have to be maintained properly. But I think just being able to make less runs and keeping the travel down has really helped a lot, along with the increased payouts. I mean, the payouts are really good at IHRA.
Yeah, most definitely. The same engine package with IHRA. Yes. With okay, yep. So
yep.
Yeah, it doesn't change.
Same, I take the exact same car I ran IHRA with at Dragway 42. I'll be racing with at Las Vegas and Pomona, and then the car I ran at Darana Motorsports Park, formerly Galot, that was actually another new car. So that car wasn't is on the East Coast. It's back at our shop in Indiana. So that's not the car that's out here. But the car that won Dragway 42 is the one I'll be racing in Pomona this year.
Oh, awesome. And it's really good. You didn't have to be traveling with a truck back and forth. You kind of have two cars and one, car in one place, car in the other place. It makes it a little bit easier on you.
A little bit. Yeah. 2,500 mile drive after Saturday night would have been pretty vicious. Jeff Deal did it with his team, and several other, I think some alcohol dragster and funny car teams are doing it. But luckily, I have the smaller trailer that we use for top fuel that I was able to put the other car in and run over there and do that. So we drove back to Indiana from North Carolina, flew to Las Vegas, picked our equipment up there, and I just got home about a couple hours ago here to Southern California. Parked the rigs at Pomona, got the pit. The trailers are where they need to be in the pit. Drove home, and then tomorrow morning we'll go out and start setting up and getting ready for this weekend.
Wow. It's almost over, Dell. It's almost over.
I know.
But it's
been fun, man. It has.
Yeah. It's been a rewarding back half for you. I hope you have a great Pomona. And again, thanks, Dell, for taking the time. It's been a pleasure to be able to talk to a childhood hero that I've watched growing up. And I never thought I'd be in this position, but it sure is awesome.
Thank you very much, man. I hope to talk to you next year again.
Indeed. Thanks a lot, Dell.
Thank you.
Del Worsham, everybody. That was fun. I'm going to have to send that to my uncle. That was fun. I'm really looking forward to the IHRA and what transpires here next year. I think you're going to see more cars. I think you'll see guys who have come out for these 5 races be better than they were this upcoming season. And let's be real, there were a lot of different conditions that were thrown at these guys that some teams on that stage haven't experienced. And I thought they fared pretty well. Given the circumstances. Let's see. He says it was hard to find Dale in the pits. He didn't have his usual big rig. Yeah, the smaller rig. Now you know, though. Now you know. Yeah, man, it's been awesome. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. There's some new faces in here. Like I said, the Pits podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be sure to look you up and subscribe to you as well. And Josh, thank you for tuning in. Also, appreciate it. Always a pleasure having new faces here, being a part of the NotBland Show family. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall, its season finale will be tomorrow at 8 p.m., and they will end it with a bang. Tim Wilkerson will be on the show, and no, that guy's got some stories. No, he has some stories. That should be a really good one. And they all have been very, very interesting. Really impressed with the show. And how it's put together, but I'm not surprised by the charisma, the natural ability that Buddy Hall has when being the host of this show. I think they picked the perfect guy for a show like this, and he's a guy that's hard not to like. That's just how it is. He's a likable guy, easy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is Pomona week. It is the final week of the season, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But really wanted to address the IHRA this past weekend. Shout out to Ken Stout, TJ, and the ladies, Kristen. They had a new person come in this weekend. She did a heck of a job for not doing a drag race like this. They did great interviews. I really enjoyed, the different pieces they did on different folks during the downtime. Dave W., a hell of a job of keeping those guys honest and making sure they got the right facts and they're not, talking out their backside. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to go on next year. Ford, I'd love to be at PRI, but with me taken care of, and we are going to be taking a trip for our 25th wedding anniversary, and with a few other things, I don't have the extra funds to go do that. So the objective next year is to shoot for that. That will be the yes, Memphis Lonnie, Pam. She did an excellent job. I don't know why I didn't remember that. I should, for reasons that I won't say. But yes, I'd love to go to PRI. Would really love to go to PRI, but I just don't have it. And we're shooting for that next year. I really, really want to do that. That's been a goal of mine, and I hope to accomplish that next year. To answer your question, Dave, you have all but secured the championship. It's over. Turn out the lights. Party's over. It is what it is. He dominated again another season. I didn't help myself by missing 2 races, but I was busy. It's a little difficult sometimes, man, when you're traveling, you're setting up and getting and testing on Friday, making sure that the stream's going to work well, and you're working on Saturday all day. You've been in the heat. all you want to do is eat and have a beer, and you usually forget because you're in travel on the way home. Sometimes I left Saturday right after we ate and just drove home 5 hours, 6 hours to get home and be comfy in my house on Sunday morning. So, yeah. No excuses, though. He was going to win anyway. Yeah, might as well just call him Doug Coletta. That's it. That's it for sure. Drag Race Mayhem says also the live stream from IHRA already has 96K views for a first year series that is impressive and very close to NHRA numbers. Yes, I think they do a really cool job of giving you a little bit of both, and like kind of whetting the appetite a little bit. And I think people don't realize that you do have Speed Sport somewhere. If you have Amazon TV, Amazon Fire TV, if you have Amazon, you have Amazon Prime Video. There's live TV on it. It's there. I believe it's on most of your fast channels. I'm not aware of Roku. I think I looked for it on Samsung and could not find it on Samsung TV, but it's available. You can even download the app. There's a Speed Sport one or Speed Sport app. I think it's Speed Sport TV or whatever. But I think that's going to be a really good package. They did an excellent job. Speed Sport, and I know there's another name for it. Dave knows that name. I don't remember. But I think they did a pretty darn good job of making things very, very good and the presentation very well for the fans. Yeah, Dave said miss 2 races is actually better because if it gives you an excuse instead of just getting smoked. Yeah, a little bit of an excuse, but I don't like making excuses. I'm really pissed about it. I probably wouldn't have made up any ground, but yeah, it kind of sucks this year that I managed to make that mistake. That was annoying. That was annoying, but I guess I got a little bit of a fallback. Back 1320. Make sure you guys are following her, okay? Make sure you're following her YouTube as well. I love the stuff that you're doing. It's different than everybody else. Not the standard cookie cutter stuff. It's really natural, and I think it endears fans who are fanatics like you. And even though I'm a media person, I'm a fanatic too. So I even watch them. I enjoy them. So I know other people will as well. So make sure you guys are following her. Good stuff. She says, first week of the countdown, I had all my content done perfectly and ready to go, filled out the bracket and submitted it, forgot to add it to groups. Yeah, exactly. That happened to me. I think that happened to me that was one race, but that was when they first started introducing Pro Mod. And for whatever reason, it did not give me the prompt for the Mission Food Series to submit them, which I thought when I submitted the Pro Mod, I submitted both. Well, that did not happen. And there I was, taking L's. As Memphis Lion says, I thinned this year. I'm mid-level in Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, but not in the basement. Yeah, you did. You've improved big time. It's major improvement for you. You were right there jockeying for third, fourth, right there in the top 5. So, yeah, that's not bad. It's not a bad season for you, especially after last year. And you had some issues too with submitting last year. So, yeah, good stuff. Always like seeing other people improve. Drag Race Mayhem says, I can't stand the people who complain about drivers cursing. Maybe these parents should parent their kids better. You know what? They're the ones who are dropping F-bombs too, by the way. Like you said here, Kyle Busch. Yeah, they're the ones dropping F-bombs too. They're cussing too. And I mean, at the end of the day, when you have something like that happen, and you get a win in that fashion, there's some stuff that's going to come out that's just going to fly out your mouth, and it is what it is. It happens. I mean, watch any sport, it happens. She says, well, if you're marketing the event as family friendly, the big bad cuss words aren't usually not family friendly. Yeah, but this is in the sport, in the spirit of competition. And in the spirit of competition, things happen. Exhibit A, Deron Payne, Cole Cox, Amon Ross St. Brown. Now, most people didn't believe the fact that he was hit first. I saw that. He was hit first. The video's out there. Doesn't make it right, but that whole thing, when you got a guy that gets cold cocked upside the head and then proceeds to say, I didn't say anything crazy, you lost me. Because you said something crazy. If a guy who's normally quiet and has, to my knowledge and what I've seen, has never done that, does that, you said something crazy or you did something crazy and you were probably still running that mouth and you got the mittens. That's what happened. You're right, Drag Race Mayhem. You're right. Memphis Lions says I still can't do any of the 4-lane races right. It's a lot. It is a lot because I wish they had like a disclaimer or like a thing that pops up that lets you know that you gotta also make sure once you pick your winners, you gotta pick how they will finish as well, because sometimes you forget that, and those give you extra points when you can do that. So Memphis Lions has watched those unedited drag racing 92 videos when Force set a record and Steve Evans shoved the mic into his face, fresh out of the car. Force first words were usually cuss words. You got that right. Shoot, he was still doing it up until a few years. He had to kind of check himself a little bit, but when you do something like that, it just happens, man. Yeah, trying to be mindful. Yeah, I get it, but sometimes, man, stuff happens, and you just have diarrhea of the mouth. Yeah, they were great, Blake. They really were. The finals were excellent for IHRA. Again, I look for big things next year. A lot of things as far as car count had a lot to do with scheduling, and guys and gals just couldn't make it out there. But I think you're going to see some interesting faces show up in the IHRA next year. And I'm really, really excited about what they have going here. They got the fuel altereds in there. It's a perfect fit for them to be a part of the IHRA. It's, is it a dragster? Is it a funny car? What is it? They're cool, and they shoot flames. They burn nitro. I mean, they add a different element to the show, and I'm excited to have them a part of the show. It's really amazing. Drag Race Man said if the IHRA has a race in the Northeast, consider me there. Yeah, they might be pretty well. You're in Pennsylvania, so almost anything south of the Mason-Dixon line, unless it's Maryland, is not necessarily close. But there could be one, maybe in Virginia. I know there's been some mock unofficial schedules floating around out there. Randy Johnson says the IHRA show was great. A 12, 14-hour day is a bit long for spectators. It is. It always is. NHRA, same thing. Most of the time, it's probably on the 14 to 15 hour, sometimes 18 hours. Things happen, especially when you talk about oil downs and stuff like that. Thought they did a really good job of quick cleanup, but of course, You want to make sure that the track is safe as well. So those types of things you don't want to rush, and they take time away and add time. But I thought overall they did a pretty good job, especially here at the place formerly known as Galot. They did a really good job of trying to stay on schedule, and I didn't think it was too bad. A lot shorter than most of your average NHRA events, I think. Memphis Lonnie says I still haven't made Bristol. I'm looking at South Georgia probably. I need to read the IHRA schedule. Yeah, it's not officially out. There are some postings of the schedule. Those postings of the schedule, and this is totally speculation because I don't think that's official. But what would you guys feel about the fact that yes, and he said it. That was not fact. Dave W said that was not factual, unfortunately, and I didn't think so. I What would you guys think of though if if Daryl would purchase Memphis and what we knew as Atlanta and Commerce, Georgia, and brought those back? If anybody can do it, it's him. And I know the cost of Memphis and bringing it up to par and all of that. We've had people do videos on it and talk about it. But I think some of you don't realize how deep this man's pockets are. And they're deep. Just look up Darana and what they do. That's all I'm going to say. So if anybody can do it, he can do it. How would you guys feel about that? I would love to see Memphis come back. That track has a lot of history. It's really unfortunate that it is not still in operation. And to me, that track is like if we were to lose Gainesville. It was really, let's be honest. It's really like us losing Englishtown. If you want to be honest, a lot of history just gone. And I get it. I get the reasons, but it would be pretty awesome. Draggers Mayo says Atlanta is too close to the city, in my opinion. The track is a goner. Memphis, given Daryl just has screwed it type of money is possible. I don't know. Look, the track in Atlanta is not that close to the city. If you're talking about the city of Athens, it has grown up in that area as far as hotels. I mean, the exit is not what it was 15 years ago. That exit has so much stuff. It's almost unrecognizable, really. But it is off a beaten path. You used to be able to park across the street. People in there... the Pit Podcast says, "Hey, Darana, let me hold 20. Let me hold something. Let me hold something." Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Used to be able to park across the street. The people who lived across the street would open up their yards for parking, so you could really just park right there and walk across the street. I'd be interested to see what could happen, and if that could happen, how that would go over. I think it would go over well. I mean, there's no drag strip. The closest drag strip in Georgia is South Georgia. And for North Georgians, that's somewhere in South Carolina. And if you live in Atlanta, it's about a 3-hour drive to Greenville, I think. About 3 hours. To Greenville, South Carolina. So, yeah. Memphis Lonnie says, "Will Daryl call the Memphis track Darana Elvis?" It could be. It's definitely going to be Darana. Maybe it's Darana Dragway at Memphis or something. It confuses me with all the Daranas, but I get it. Makes it simple. It's all part of the family. You know, makes it real simple. Before we get out of here, we do have Pomona coming up. Looking forward to. I'll be honest. I'm looking forward to the season ending. Because this back and forth with doing NHRA, I have not really done the film study that I like to do. Just been too busy. IHRA's been there, NHRA's here. It'll be nice to be able to have some time to actually sit back and do film study. There's a couple defenses that I really want to take a look at. The Seattle Seahawks and how they play, at least from what I've seen over the last couple of games. It is very interesting how they play football. They're not like most teams. They're very strategic in how they manufacture their defense, and they tailor their defense to the teams that they play. It's not based on scheme. It's based on matchups. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. Looks here for the In-N-Out Burger Pomona finals at In-N-Out Burger Pomona Drag Strip. Looks like we have a total of 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 Top Fuel dragsters. We have, I believe it's about 20 funny cars. Let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So we have 21 again funny cars to show up to Pomona. Your Top Fuel cars are a little bit on the less side. A little bit on the less side. We already know we're stacked in Pro Stock. Pro Stock motorcycle looks like it's full. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think 16. So you have a 16 bike field at least. Nice to see Kelly Klontz going out there and ending the season there. It should be fun. Weather's going to be good. I think the racing will be good. I don't think we see any major upsets here. I think the people who are in first will remain there. Doug just has to show up and put the car in the beams in Q1, and I think that's a wrap ski. Matt Hagan made it fun. He's going to have to go out and qualify number 1. He's going to have to be low of every round. And then he's going to have to hope that he matches up, or somebody who matches up with him is a sleeper and can pick him off, or he may have a bad day and maybe smoke him at maybe 300 feet, and he might have a chance. But I think he would have to run the table. All of those things would have to happen. It is 1.5 points, so he's the only one really that's got a snowball's chance to try to get something. I think this is Dallas Glenn all day. I don't see him making a mistake here. I think he understands what happened last year, and I think that pain of losing has stuck with him all season, and he has kept it to the forefront, and he will not allow that to happen to them again. And I'm hoping it's Richard. 21 back. It's him and Gage. He just got to stay ahead of him. You know what I mean? At least get to the semis, I think, and he might be able to have it secure. The objective, though, is to win it. And then you leave no doubt. Leave no doubt. Let me get back here. You guys are commenting, and I appreciate that. So they have an apartment, have the apartments right outside the track from photos I've seen. And while money can fix a lot, it can't fix grandma complaining. Yeah, that is true. That is true. That might be hard if that is the case. It's going to be the IHRA Darana series presented by Darana, and the Ironman will be revamped to the Darana Trophy. I can see that. Randy Johnson says Memphis land cost is high. It just sits there, no buyers. The owners should make a deal with Daryl for a low price and retain 49% and let Daryl 51% develop and make it profitable. That's a great plan. And I think you got to do something. Uh, Otherwise, it's just going to continue to rot. Dave says, look at it this way: while purchasing some top tier tracks, certainly the IHRA is also purchasing tracks that time forgot. Yes, they are. I appreciate that. Um, and I love the eighth mile and 1,000 foot deal. That makes it fun and interesting. Mac 1320 says Pomona is going to be awesome. Can't wait to watch who wins. Yeah, me too. It is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it all. And like I said, that's my thoughts on who I think and how this thing goes down. It may go differently, but I don't see that. Kudos to them for looking at those places that other majority of that other major series left behind. You're right. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, some of these other tracks that they're trying to dabble in and bring some other things to, they're just doing it so that the IHRA doesn't do it. That's what I think. Fred, yeah, I I don't understand what happened yesterday. I really don't. And I know people want to point the finger at Jordan Love, but I'm going to point the finger at Matt LaFleur. You got a top tier running back, and you consistently ran the ball where he was getting stuffed. The guy makes his money big time running between the guard and the tackle, whether you run to the right or the left. And I know you're missing one of your top tight ends, but that team's got a plethora. One is not going to make a difference. I blame Matt LaFleur. And sure, Jordan could be a little bit more sharp, but I think he got put in some real bad positions, and you're asking him to do something that just ain't in his repertoire right now. Yeah, another Birds fan. Another Birds fan. Look, I think they are at the top, and it's interesting to see them at the top. I do think they're very vulnerable, though, and there were opportunities that Green Bay had. Both defenses played exceptionally well, but I also think Matt LaFleur kind of helped them a little bit because I don't think that the secondary for the Eagles is that good. But we're getting later in the season. They did make some pretty interesting trades to kind of help round things out, and I think that kind of helped with their rotation that I thought was missing earlier in the season. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens because at the end of the day, those guys, they're a very scrappy bunch, and they find ways to win. I just don't trust Nick Sirianni. I don't, because I think some of those losses this year fall on his back. Dave W says, how stupid that everything is named for In-N-Out Burger. Yeah. Darana. He says about Birds have the worst offense play calling. Yeah. Well, I think Nick Sirianni is also involved in it. Looks very similar before they got Kellen Moore. Things are very similar. And some of the head scratching calls are very similar. Again, another running back that makes his living chewing guys up between the tackles. Or maybe you pull a guard and you extend it a little bit and get that guard to pull in around the tackle, and he's kind of like follow the leader. All he needs is space. Pick up the guys within the first, 7 yards and let him get to the second level. And when he gets to the second level, he can make guys miss. I thought their game plan has not been exceptionally well when it comes down to really featuring and really helping Saquon Barkley. I said last I saw the weather was rainy and cold. Uh-oh. That could be a problem. That could be a problem. The Pitts podcast says Mayhem and the Eagles just announced Jair Alexander is stepping away from the game. It's weird how these guys are just retiring. I don't blame them though. This game is unforgiving, and some guys just look at it and say, "Man, you know what? I think I want to have quality of life. I've made enough money." Some guys are really smart with their money, and you know they can afford to retire. I know I sound like a. You say you're not a fan of Nick. I'm not a fan of him either. Sorry, I'm not. Um, it is, but that's the way they got it going. Josh says Daryl will have full ownership and none at all. That is true, and I think we've kind of seen that, through how they've done business. I don't blame them though, um, unless he has some type like a full autonomy. But I do agree with what Randy said. I think there needs to be some kind of deal worked out, and maybe it's a future full ownership. But I think there's some needs to be some type of deal worked out with the property so that it can be put back together to make and generate money, and then once that thing starts getting going, I mean, he could really pay. I mean, I don't see how the guy couldn't pay it off. I mean, he's he's got dough. His pockets ain't empty, cuz let's just put it that way. Oh yeah, Mac 1320. The Lions won this weekend. They did. One is an understatement. And let's be honest, they should have put up 70. They called the dogs off. The game was over at halftime. And as I stated it Monday, did the football show yesterday. Joe Witt Jr. should have been pulled from his duties 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks too late. And I understand giving guys an opportunity to fix it, but look, man, this is the NFL, and the NFL stands not for long, especially for coaches. And the year they had the year before with less talent on defense, now you tried to run it back, and you added a few veteran pieces, and it's a night and day difference. That performance on Sunday was very clear on defense that Joe Witt Jr. has lost the locker room. But it's also clear that the Lions had a bone to pick because they got mollywopped in the divisional round when they felt they should have been in the NFC Championship game. And they got mollywopped by the Commanders. They definitely paid it back in full this past weekend. Dragons Mayo says the NFL truly has no good teams anymore. It's basically anyone's year. It is, and I think that's the best thing. There's not one team that's dominant. Yeah, they have the Birds next week, and I'll tell you early thoughts on it is I think the Lions can win this game, and I believe the Lions can win this game handedly. I will explain that Sunday. We do a TikTok show on Sunday. It is the NotBland Show on TikTok. It's me and Showtime. Showtime is Caleb Cox. He's general manager of Cruise Pendragon Racing. We break down all the games on Sunday morning. It's about 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, and we break them down. But that's my early take. I got the Lions, and I think they can do it big. I will be looking at some film and try to do some film study on it beforehand, looking at both defenses kind of thoroughly and seeing what I think is palatable for the Lions to do to be able to have that kind of success. But they have all the weapons to do it. If our offensive play caller is calling plays from a Wawa menu, you might be right. That's good. That's good. I like it. I like it. That Lonnie Memphis Line says, could Daryl have someone like Clay Millican be a silent partner investor? I don't think he needs a silent partner investor, and he won't do that. That I know he won't do. Yeah, I knew what you meant in Memphis. Yeah. Thoughts on Brian Kelly? I think Brian Kelly a little bit was a scapegoat. I mean, let's be honest. Nussmeier, I think that's his name. He's not playing good football. He thinks he's the second coming of Joe Burrow. You let his confidence and cockiness tell it. You think he's the second coming of Joe Burrow, but he's not. And every big game that he's in, he proves that he's not. Not going to say it ain't about talent because LSU always has talent. But let's just say he ain't him. That's all I got to say. Josh said there should be some big announcements at or before PRI concerning IHRA in 2026. Lots of surprises. Oh, yes. Yes. It is going to be a lot of surprises. Silly season is going to get even sillier. And I said this early when silly season started, Josh, that this has been better than NFL free agency frenzy. Way better. And I think we could put 2 years together of the free agency frenzy in the NFL, and it doesn't amount to what we've seen so far this year. And there should be some other announcements just with NHRA concerning teams and cars and drivers and where they will be and not be. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. A whole lot of fun. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We're going to close this thing out. Really thank all of you for hanging around and having a good time, man. Thank you to Del Worsham. Like I said, man, I've been doing this since 2012. About 2015, I think. Thank you to Scott Smith, who was then in Allie's position. And to think that I've talked to some of the people that I've talked to, some of the people that I have in my Rolodex. It's wild, man. It's wild. Never would have thought I'd have been this far into drag racing at all. It's been a pleasure. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you, Lonnie. Appreciate it. I want to thank Josh. Thank you. Thank you to the Pit Podcast for showing up. I hope to see you guys as a regular. We have fun here, and you guys really added to that. Well, for everything Nitro for sportsjourney.com, go over there to Sports Journey if you're an NFL fan. I gave you my take on why I think Brian Daboll was sent packing. Also did a little article on my man Keenan Allen, being the guy who has the most catches, beating out Antonio Gates with 956. Look, it's gonna be a great weekend. We've got some high school football here in South Georgia, playoffs. Pomona's coming. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Enjoy the rest of your week. And come over to the see, I'm already losing it. Come on over to the Power Hour. It's going to be me and Dave W. We will be talking to Scott Woodruff and, man, few altered winner. Don't have his name in front of me, but I'm sorry. My bad. But thank you guys. Appreciate you.